Since research alone doesn't inspire future generations, storytelling does. Let's write your stories down. In this episode, we'll explore how to take everything you discovered, names, dates, documents, and even gravestones, and shape it into a story that's not only preserved, but felt. This episode will give you the tools and the confidence to begin writing the story only you can tell. There are many storytelling formats to follow when creating your story. Do you want to write your autobiography, but maybe you don't think your life is interesting enough? Well, I will argue that you're wrong. Your descendants want to know your life experiences, your trials and tribulations. Although you might not be a bestseller, it will be a treasure trove of knowledge, putting your life into perspective for the rising generation. I know personally that our children would have been more interested in history if they had understood that their family members had participated in it. However, they ate up stories from my parents on the Great Depression, how my dad collected bottles and cans to get money, and then World War II, where he fought in the Battle of the Bulge. How might you inspire the next generation with your story? You could also have a theme-based narrative. I compiled a book on our family's core values, tying them to the stories of lessons learned when our kids were growing up. My mom encouraged me to write stories down. I started with pictures to trigger my memories. I focused on the lessons we were trying to teach, resilience, integrity, or knowledge. The theme was woven into the story and noted in the end. My book, Sleeping in the Valley, is a compilation of short stories about each soul buried in the cemetery. I didn't want them to be forgotten, but I didn't have a lot of information to go on for an entire book on each person. So each chapter is an independent story. I also have a plan to start another book called Tales of Belle-Hampton to share different stories associated with the lives and people of the time who lived there. My book, The Diary, is a chronological story from Governor James Hogue Tyler's life. Did I mention you too should keep a diary? It helps practice with your writing. I try to keep one daily. It might not mean much now, but as the future unfolds, it will be a valuable resource for your descendants. Who is your target audience? Visualize a person likely to read your story or book, and it can guide you on what the content should include. To develop a reader profile, list traits of the person you believe will gain the most from your story. Consider their age, level of education, hobbies, and other details. Authors who understand their target audience customize their writing to suit them. It's essential to identify your primary readership. Without knowing who will read your work, finding an audience becomes impossible. If you want to appeal to a broader audience, knowing the audience isn't the easiest task. There are many considerations, including what type of book is it? Is it a short story, a memoir, or a historical documentary? Is the subject light or dark, meaning happy marriages or a loss of a loved one? What about the length? Is it short, long, or in between? Is the language poetic or straightforward, for a child or an adult? Fact-filled or completely imaginative? If your group consists of adult siblings instead, is it too small? Does it appeal to only 10 or 20 people? That's fine, especially if you're compiling a book for gifts, memoirs, passed down, etc. Now, if you have extended family, comprised of people you may have never met, that would provide a bigger market. In my case, I joke the Hogue family populated Virginia, so most of the population is related to us. If targeting young children, make sure your language is suitable. Now, I'm not a fan of talking down to children, but if you're using big words that a 7th grader wouldn't understand, bring it down. Fun fact, the Wall Street Journal writes at a 7th grade level. For children under 13, write at a 2nd or 3rd grade level. That means language is clear and accessible, but still rich for meaning. Simple sentences make the listening and comprehension easier. Vocabulary is familiar but can still introduce new concepts. Narratives are concrete with clear cause and effect. Here's an example of something too complex. Your great-great-grandmother immigrated from Prussia to escape political unrest and built a homestead in the Appalachian foothills. Here's a child-friendly version. Long ago, your great-great-grandma left her home far away across the ocean and came here with big dreams and built a little house on the hill. Another trick when telling your story is to create a narrative arc. A narrative arc is the structure or shape of a story, the path it follows from beginning to end. It's how events unfold to create a compelling journey for the reader or listener. Whether you're telling a family memory or a novel, the narrative arc helps organize the story so it feels satisfying and complete. This includes character development and pacing. Another technique includes using dialogue that features common phrases from your family or the era you're talking about. Incorporating slang such as y'all or you guys, depending on your regional background, should be part of the writing. Add any memorable sayings or regional twangs that suit either the time period or the person. If the term might be interpreted as offensive, put your reasoning for using the verbiage for the time period in your introduction. Your story doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be told. Let's keep building this together. What's the first story you want to tell? Share it, or the idea of it, in the comments below. It might just inspire someone else. Like this episode if it gave you the confidence to start, and subscribe to continue the journey. Next, we'll explore how to preserve your stories for the future. Because your story is more than a memory, it's a gift. Don't wait to give it.